never seen. You're spending like a cash machine.
Hello and welcome to High Vis Health. I'm your host, Dr. Udo. Today, we get ready for the holiday season the right way. We get ourselves calibrated in the way of mental wellness. Today, I have with me Angela. And Angela, I am going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself at this point.
All right. It's an honor to be here. I'm Angela Rosas, and I am a yoga instructor, yoga teacher, but I also am now opening up my own podcast. It's called A Calm Kid, and it's all about creating a connection with your child. So a lot of times people are like, oh, I just want my kid to be calm, or I'm getting frustrated. But a lot of times it's us as the parent that really needs to be that calm parent so that we can also create a calm family. And I've created these little short stories, 5 to 7 minutes long, and it's all about sitting next to your child. And if you're traveling, you can always, FaceTime your kid and listen to them as well. It's just creating that bond together. So
that is really cool.
Yeah.
Yes. It's when you filled a gap, you know that you got something good coming, right? You're not being something to everybody. You're being everything to somebody. With that kind of pointed direction. That's really cool. And listen, Angela is a beautiful soul, but if you don't roll the R in the Rosas, then she's going to get pissed off on camera.
No.
I'll make sure I watch my step. So what inspired you to go the podcast route? Right?
So it's kind of an interesting story. I started Namaste at work, and then the pandemic hit, and that was about bringing mindfulness into the workplace, and it was going really well, and a lot of companies were like jumping on board.
What kind of work were you doing there?
I was doing mindfulness and just going in and teaching yoga.
When you say mindfulness, were you going in and doing breathing strategies, gratitude, teaching people how to do gratitude journals?
I wish I went that route. I was kind of moving into that direction as well, but I was mainly just teaching yoga to
very cool,
like large groups.
Yeah,
and then the company, would just pay for it because it was a write-off, and it was great for creating a community and showing people mindfulness.
What's the most awkward place you did a yoga class? Because I know damn well these places don't have group fitness rooms.
Yes. So at a law place, I was in their front entrance, and they crammed so many people in there.
Damn, that's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a good one. Those stiff bastards couldn't come up with anything better than that. Unbelievable. We don't have to say their name. Wow. Okay, I was expecting just a proximity thing, like it was in a small room, but that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because people would come off the elevator and it'd be like ding, and then you'd be like, oh, and then we'd be real quiet.
That's hilarious. Great. That's fantastic. It's like, I hit a car at 8 miles an hour. I'm getting sued for $14 million because this person's holding their neck, and I walk into the law office to build my case, and there's 15 people doing yoga in the lobby. I don't know how I'd feel about that. I'd probably seek out other services. Anyway, continue on.
Yeah, so the pandemic hit, and I also got pregnant at the same time, pretty much. And I get really sick when I'm pregnant, and I just had to pull the plug. And then it was good because I was able to really be with my kids, and I learned a lot about myself through my kids. So I'm all about your kids are your teachers. I think that they put a mirror to everything that you really need to work on.
Teach you how to drop shit.
Yes, yeah. They do.
I love that. Your kids are your teachers. It's okay. We can't, sure you don't take that too far, right? We have to be the adults. Yes. I get it, but I love the message that you're sending there, because I think most of the time it's like you're in that frame of mind of you don't know shit.
Yes.
You don't know shit. I'm the parent. And, if I don't steer this ship right, you're going to screw up at every opportunity. Yeah. As opposed to have that be a reciprocal learning process. Really cool.
Yeah. I really believe in it. I think that a lot of times we take a very superior role when we really need to just get on their level and literally get to them on their level, look in their eyes, and just create the empathy. Because if you want an empathetic child, you also have to be empathetic. So
we're in that state, many of us, where we're just flying by the seat of our pants. We're not present. We're the opposite of present. The whole, this is where like there's been an evolution to mindfulness activities, like literally walking and knowing where your foot is. Paying attention to your foot striking the ground. Yeah, I mean, we live in a world where we needed a yoga technique that is literally like, where is my foot right now? Because it's so easy to get running in such a fast-paced world and forget about anything in the present. Literally, we're thinking about anything except the present. It's, shit that happened to us, and we're probably thinking about that incorrectly, right? Mm-hmm. We're probably thinking about that in a negative light. And then we're thinking about the future, and typically, I think what many people are thinking about is all the bad things that are going to happen. Mm-hmm. Yes. People do this differently. You tell me your take on this. You've probably got some methodology. But I tell people, do a 2-step process. I try to make it as simple as possible. I've heard about 5-step processes. 2 steps. Is it true? Does it help me get somewhere positive? If you can't answer yes to both of those questions, let the thought come and let the thought go. You're not going to prevent the thoughts, right?
No, they're going to keep coming.
Yeah.
I love that.
The people who get there and they're just like, all right, I'm not going to think negative. Like, yes, you are. The human mind is made for survival, not happiness. We got to do some rewiring.
We do. Rewire completely. And that's what it's all about, like rewiring. Yeah. It's these little, like you said, keep it simple. I literally always have a mantra. Like just to keep me on track.
Is it always the same?
No, it has to be, for me, I like change, like maybe too much. I have to have something that's more fitting for maybe something that I'm going through.
Sure.
So right now I have one.
What is it? Come on, share it with us.
So it's let it flow and
Okay.
let it go. So a lot of times right now, especially like doing a podcast or doing something new, you get a lot of like the self-doubt, like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Like, am I going to fall on my face
Yep.
And so for me, it's like, just basically let it come and let it go. Just because I know it's not true. Like you said, it's
for sure.
It's not the truth. It's a lot of that. I always call it like your self-critic. But I like to look for more of like a motivator. So I think you have 2 in your brain. I think there's, the self-critic's always there, but there's always a motivator too. I think this about like your higher self, someone that you could see maybe a few years down the road. They know what you're doing. It's someone that you actually don't really need a mentor. Sure. But you just need to step up.
So we know how prevalent negative thinking is.
Yes.
What is your advice to to everyday people? How do you start your day to better position yourself to avoid going down these rabbit holes of negative thinking? What does a morning look like?
So morning for me, lately, I love sleep. I mean, I love it. I think it's the winter. I want to cozy up. My husband sometimes lets me sleep in because I'm with the kids all day.
Right.
So I have to have a positive thing right in the morning. So I usually bring gratitude to myself. Like, I think creating a gratitude list, even if it's like 1 or 2 things.
Yes.
I think that for me, that has to be like the first thing I think about. Like,
you know why that's so powerful in the morning? Because it literally trains your brain to scan for things for tomorrow morning's gratitude list. Mm-hmm. It's almost like you got to do your homework during the day, but it's like the most positive homework ever. So you're scanning the world for something that can land in that gratitude journal. And I tell people here, give me your take on this, because I imagine there's different perspectives here. When you're doing a gratitude journal, I'll tell people, don't worry about selfishness. Actually, let that go. If you're thankful for your car, you materialistic bastards, if you're thankful for your car, just put your car down.
Yep.
Right? Like that's cool. You're okay with that.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
I think being honest.
Let it flow.
Yeah. Like be you. Like, I think that a lot of times we are trying to be better, but really like we already are.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, you can like your car. Maybe that motivates you. Maybe that's something that you're like, this is my shiny thing.
Hopefully, if you listen to Angela enough, you won't have shit like a car on your list, because you're going to realize that the start line and the finish line are the same damn place, and that's called happiness. right? This is crazy how we reach for the car, we reach for the house, we reach for the spouse, we reach for these things that we think are going to elevate our happiness. And then we get there and you're looking at the next car.
Yes.
You're looking at the next house. You're looking at the next spouse,
Yes.
right? Like, it's crazy how this works. And most people know it.
Yes.
They'll nod to this and say, I get that. And then they'll chase that shit for a lifetime. It's really kind of wild.
It's the wanting more.
Sure.
You know, it's the needing to fill, but you're already filled. I always
And your
say,
aim is off.
oh, completely.
Literally, if you're like, okay, 4,800 square foot house, beautiful chandeliers, but that one is 7,200 square feet. Looks like an old 90s drug dealer villa, right? Maybe you got the rectangle cameras on the front door. I want that. Your aim is just off. What you perceive as more isn't more. No, that's cool. And I wonder, am I trying to be too positive? And is this just wishful thinking? It feels like the 1980s, I got a shovel in my hand. I'm a guy. Dude move is to not talk about this and to suppress it way down because talking about this makes me look X. I just feel like that shit is outdated. And what has been ushered in is I'm a man. I'm bringing this to the table to deal with it. Mm-hmm. I'm bringing this to the table to work on it, to become a better man for myself and the people around me. Is that wishful thinking? I mean, it feels like the old keep it to yourself is outdated.
It is outdated. And
good.
I think even the way that we approach, boys, children, I don't say don't cry. I have other kids in my life. I have 2 girls, but I have other friends that have boys, and it's like, we're even teaching them to process their feelings.
Right.
So I think in order for us to collectively step up as a community, as a society, we really need to confront some of our closet.
I'm going to confront you right now.
Oh,
all right,
yeah.
it's football season. I guarantee there's some dads out there that are like, I don't want my boy to be a softie, right?
Yeah.
Like I got to teach my kid to be a man. Knowing that's coming, knowing that will be a reaction to some listeners, right?
Yeah.
And I'm poking fun, making the voice and shit. But it's like, all right, I know there's people out there that feel that way. I get it. How do you balance this?
I think, so even with affirmations, you can still be strong, but you still can be kind. You can still be empathetic and you can be brave. There's this yin and yang where just because I'm emotional and sensitive doesn't mean that I'm powerful and that I'm strong. So I think that you're actually stronger as a person when you are able to see the full range of life.
Yes.
Just like having like a really bad day is actually, I know I'm maybe overly positive person, but
I don't believe in such a thing.
I really think that you can learn from that, and that actually will make your really good days even better because it's that process of if every day was so great, they really wouldn't be great anymore.
Understood.
So it's kind of like that. That's how I believe. I grew up with older parents, and I know that they're thinking, I mean, thankfully we had all girls, but if we had a boy in the house, I think he would have been, taught a little different. And I really believe that we do need to let that guard down. Still have those muchísimo times. I'm all for go and have your bro time or whatever not.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Positive people, positive endeavors.
That's another thing that my podcast is doing. It's creating a growth mindset. And I don't think a lot of people actually know what growth mindset is. I think I
would probably need some definitional criteria. Let's jump in.
Yeah. So a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. So a fixed mindset is, okay, I come from a prestigious school, so I'm really smart. Like having growth where you can become smarter. You can read a book. You can learn something.
It sounds like it's like leaving the avenue open to, as opposed to closing yourself off with certain thoughts. That's what it's sounding like. And it makes a lot of damn sense.
Yes. And like a fixed one would be like, okay, I am a teacher. I can only be a teacher. I am here. I can only be here.
Yeah. Here's my resume. This is the job I qualify for.
Yes.
This is the job I know. And therefore this is my eternity.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like thinking, oh, I can't do that, like, because I can't get there. And someone with a growth mindset would say, I can see that and I can do that.
If we break this down, I think it might be never ending.
Yeah.
Because what we just did is we mentioned career path. I think it's probably applicable to almost every facet of our life. And there's places where we leave opportunity for growth and a lot of places where we close it off. Like I bet if I went and broke down my life, I'd be like, oh shit, close, 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 close. Okay, I left that one open, close, close, close.
Yeah.
Because we're like, we put this cap on our own ceiling.
Oh, for sure.
So often.
And it's interesting because I think it all starts at when you're young. You know, you can actually become a growth mindset, but it takes a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
I think it's being that awareness. And I think you even talked about like, putting those walls down, showing emotion, working on yourself every day. It's that 5 minutes. I always say take 5,
Yeah.
Take 5 minutes to breathe, take 5 minutes to be mindful.
You change the physiology in your body with a couple deep ins and outs. What is your go-to breathing technique?
I do 3-part breath.
Okay.
So I think about the lowest part of my belly, and
Okay.
I try to inhale through my nose, and I fill up the lowest part of my belly all the way up like a balloon.
No, I like it.
Yeah. So I actually, there's a really good book about breathing, and how we as a society don't know how to breathe. So yeah, it's really interesting. If you're stressed, you actually can just tap into your breath and know that you're stressed because you breathe into your chest.
Yeah.
And you also breathe in and out of your mouth.
Breathing's, when I look at somebody who's like, all right, I'm willing to throw 3 to 5 minutes a day at mindfulness. What do I do? My 2 go-tos are breathing and gratitude. Pick one of those 2. Shit, you can do them both in 5 minutes. I mean, truly, list in your head or on a piece of paper 3 things you're grateful for, and then do 4 to 5 deep ins, deep outs. Yeah. Mine's similar to yours. It's usually I try to do a 5 in. First one's always like 2. I'm like, oh, how did I fill up that quick? But I try to do 5 in, a 1 second hold, and then out. And sometimes I'll use the Wim Hof method. I don't know if you're familiar, but Wim Hof, he's got some cool stuff. WIMHOF, Wim Hof. He's got the Guinness Book World Record for like sitting in frickin' ice.
Wow.
Like he claims he's trippy. He talks about the autoimmune system. He's like, it's not autoimmune system. I can turn this bitch on. Like he can control it.
Wow.
It's really crazy. And something else cool he does is he'll take like a group of reporters in and he'll train them for a week or 2 with his breathing techniques and everything. And he'll walk them up in their boxers in kill zones of mountains. Like kill zone, like you walk here and you're unprepared, you die. He'll walk them through in their boxers. Like after 2 weeks of training. It's insane. Wow. I've watched documentaries on it.
I am very fascinated by this.
No, it's really cool. He gets all the oxygen to the cells with these really, they're really violent. One of his techniques is a really violent breathing technique. Like you look stupid when you do it. You're breathing in so much that your nose is like pinned, and then you're coming down, and then you're going up real violent, and then you do like 20 rounds of that. You take a deep into the chest, out, a deep in, deep into the stomach, out, 1 deep to the head, and then you hold your breath, and it is absolutely euphoric. Nobody die, because I don't want to deal with that shit. But it's euphoric when you do the 20 ins and outs, and you do the chest, and you do the head, and then you take that last one and you come in. It is really trippy. What happens is you kind of coast for a minute, and then like 40 seconds in, you're like, oh shit, I need air, and your body panics. It's like 10 seconds. And then you hit this euphoric state where you're like, oh God, I feel good. And you coast. Huh. And this is no BS. I'm
going to have to try this.
Oh, it's cool. We'll do it off camera because you'll look like an idiot. Not you personally, everybody who does this. But when I was doing this to show how willing your cells are to fill up with oxygen, I would all the time go over 3 minutes holding my breath. No bullshit. Like I'm not somebody who can hold their breath long. But you get so full of oxygen, and then you do it. I used to have my buddy, Adam, we would do it we watch each other do it. We literally got to the point where like Aaron, like I'm holding my finger there, don't you, like I'm gonna know if you breathe, like, and we would both just, he went longer than I did. But one day I went over 4 minutes, and I'm like, that did make me question, like, did you breathe and not know it? You know what I mean? Did you get a
Yeah.
little oxygen and not know it? But I would like routinely go over 3 minutes. Isn't that
Wow,
crazy?
That is crazy.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
Okay, so back to the podcast.
Okay.
What parents who follow along, are you taking them on a journey and basically giving them the strategies
So
in the
it's starting
podcast
to
to
be
use
about,
with
you
their
know, we're
children?
trying other
Okay.
things,
What is
but
the
it's
flow of the
starting your
podcast? What
year
can people
out with
expect
there.
from watching?
So the flow of the podcast is it's all about creating that connection first with your child. So what I imagine is, you know, I hear that these parents are traveling. So they might not be able to physically sit with their child. You know, maybe they're, I don't know, FaceTiming and listening it together. That would be really cool where they can listen to it. And I even say, like, you know, maybe the parents are driving in the car and they're still physically both listening to the podcast. It's basically a guided imagery. So I have a little background in guided imagery. I did clinical research and I did guided imagery on pregnant women. And so anyways, that's beside the note. So I basically just bring people in.
Can your podcast be called Beside the Note? I love that. I've never heard it before. I love it. What is the name of the podcast? Say it again.
A Calm Kid.
A Calm Kid.
A Calm Kid.
Very good.
Yeah. So so I just take them on this journey and all of them are different. So you're never going to get anything that actually is the same.
So it is built to engage the kid as well.
Oh, it's more so for the kid.
Got it. I was thinking this was like a speak to the parents kind of deal.
No.
I dig it.
Yeah.
I was a little off the mark on this one. You see, you're holding everything too close to the chest.
I know. I'm
yeah.
really, well, because it's, you know, it's getting close and I'm like, it's funny because I was talking to someone and I was like, you know, this is like my third baby. Like, I just feel like, you know, you know, when you have your baby for the first time, you're like, I don't want anyone to hold it. I don't want anyone to see it.
Right.
But now I'm like slowly like, hey, here it is. You know?
Second kid, you drop them off at the mall at 2 years old. Like, hey, I'll see you later today.
I don't know about
You'll be
that.
fine. You'll be fine.
I'm like a mama bear.
Nice.
But yeah, so it's mainly just having them like breathe. And then there's the story where they'll learn like a life lesson. Like one of them is on sharing and it talks about like two bear cubs and they're actually one of the bear cubs. So you're actually getting inside the animal, imagining that you're the animal. And then you go through your journey and then you do affirmations with your parent at the end.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So the parents turning the kid onto it, exposing the kid to this, and you're basically just stealing a bunch of shit from Berenstain Bears.
Oh, no, not really.
It's okay. I mean, kids do need to know how to clean their room, though, right? You know.
They do need that.
And
But
if they ever get in a big road race, that was my favorite one of all time. The big road race. That shit was hype.
I could see you liking that. Yeah.
This is such a great. It really is a great angle. Like this is going to resonate with parents. It really, it is.
It is. Well, and I also, so it takes about 5 to 7 minutes to listen, but then I have questions at the end for you to engage with your child. So
Very cool.
A lot of times parents are like, oh, just throw that podcast on for my kid and I'll go wash the dishes. This is more of like, okay, I have 5 minutes and I want to have a connection with my kid. Let me put my phone down. Let me turn off the TV. Let me, you know, be present. I think we're really missing that connection with kids nowadays.
And you're also kind of tuning this for the busy parent who might be run thin.
Yes.
Like parents get busy. They get emotionally thin, physically thin. And you're kind of, in a way, not in a bad way, you're taking the thinking out of it for them. You're giving them a tool to just apply.
Yes.
You know, this tool, this podcast does the heavy lifting for the connection.
Yes.
I
You
mean,
just say, hey, Alexa, play, you know,
Yeah.
A Calm Kid, and then sit down and be with your kid.
Yeah, that is awesome. Okay, important for our people. Let's say you're a GSI employee out there, and you're listening to this podcast, and you're not really ready to fully take it in. Mm-hmm. You're not on the mindfulness train. I won't say you haven't bought in at all. You're listening. You're probably open to some change, right? Where do they start? I just feel like a lot of people can't get off the ground to do the rewiring that we're talking about, to change the negative thinking, to change feeling exhausted and down all the time. where do they start? Where do the men and women of GSI start for getting to a better place?
I think, like you said, keeping it simple. I think that even just if you do have kid and you listen to the podcast, I think you breathing, it teaches you to breathe.
Yep.
It teaches you affirmations. I'm a big believer of saying the I am statements, because if you say like, I am brave, you will be brave. Like, I'm a big believer in that. The other day, I know this is really off topic, but my little girl had little sniffles. And I said, you know what? You just have to say, I am healthy. By the end of the day, I'm not kidding you, she was fine. I was like, you're literally teaching yourself, like, I am healthy. And I think that if you say like, I am, and you have it clear in your mind, like, you can manifest it.
There is no doubt positive psychology is impactful. There's no doubt. Something like over 90% of Olympic athletes have positive psychology coaches now. Why the hell do you think that is?
Yeah.
This is like, it was fluff 20 years ago. And now, we're looking at some of these fields, some of these emerging fields. We're like, oh, shit. Mm-hmm. That's the real deal. I mean, think of mindfulness.
Yes.
When we years ago, when you'd mentioned mindfulness, people would be like, I'm not putting on yoga pants. Like, it was this thing for this cult. Right.
Well, I agree. And I think that a lot of people think, that's religious. I think.
Or the spiritual, right? That
Yes.
spiritual realm. Yeah.
The spiritual realm. But I have God and I have a higher power, and it's not like, I don't believe in, I'm not Hindi or Hinduism.
Right.
But I teach yoga. I think it's like the tools, we have to use the tools that, I believe that God or your higher power has put on this earth. And I think mindfulness right now is really important. And maybe even
Very
rephrasing mindfulness. I think that's an overused word.
Oh God, it's like wellness. Like
Yes.
it's, people are over inundated with things in these fields, in this space, and they don't really know what the hell it means. It's so watered down.
Yes.
It is.
And it's like this like blanket covered word where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, you're not on the mindfulness train. It's like,
Right.
Maybe just stepping into being more present,
That's probably a word that maybe men could better get down with that. Because the mindfulness thing has run its course and it's gained its street credit. And so when we hear that, we do think there's almost like a female connotation with that whole field.
Yep.
Right?
That
More
is
in touch
true.
with your feelings, like the yoga. I mean, there does seem to be that. And how shitty is that? Like, people need mindfulness.
Yes. People
need to be present.
Well, there's so many external distractions. You have a device that you hold, and I know all of you guys, anyone, girls, guys, it's in your pocket. It's as close as you physically can.
Oh my God, yes.
You can't even get away from it because it is a device to pull you away from, you think it's going to solve everything.
Have you seen The Social Dilemma? It feels like you've seen it.
I have not.
Okay, so whoa, then you're on to it. Everything in that phone is designed to keep you attached to that phone.
Yes.
Down to the little bubbles when you're texting with somebody, just to hold you there for a little bit, to the things that they're putting in your feeds on social media, everything, right? You feel a certain way politically because you've clicked on a few things. They want to feed that to you.
Yeah.
They want to reinforce that you are right.
Oh,
right.
for sure.
And it's any freaking thing in an algorithm
I was
to
gonna
keep
say.
you engaged.
Yeah. The algorithms. Yeah.
How scary is that shit?
Well, and I think to combat that is to be present. Like, my husband and I have this thing we do every night, or we try. We're not perfect, obviously. We detach from our phones and put them on the chargers and have like a connection every night.
Yep.
It's like, okay, we've been on our phones. Okay, whoop, all right, it's time. We plug them in and we go downstairs.
Yep.
Because we are losing the connection. And this is basically the inspiration from the podcast, is that I see things like I see people struggling. I'm very social. I'm, an extrovert, and I see parents and they are struggling because we as a society are not present at all. I have a conversation with someone and they're like half, Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
God, yes. And that's
know?
the norm.
Oh,
That is being present because physically I'm within 4 feet of you and being on the phone is the norm. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
Like that is the new norm of being present. And that's crazy.
it's so wrong. It's so wrong. I just
Fuck you,
believe,
AT&T. Who uses AT&T? I'm just kidding.
yeah, actually I might.
You do?
No, I just can't.
I pegged you for a Frog Wireless kind of girl, you know?
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So I think it is really important to be fully present. I mean, just take a little bit of it, and you're going to see that like that connection is going to feel so magical because you're going to be like, wow, I am not distracted.
Yeah.
This is what it feels like to have a connection.
Get off your seat and try something different for 5 minutes a day.
Yes.
Right? Because
is it.
like me stretching at night. I know if I stretch at night, my workout the next day is better. But every time I go up there, I have this conversation with myself. Get up. Like I'll lay down and I'm like, it's over. Day's over. Get up and stretch for 5 minutes. And it always feels amazing. I sleep better. The workout's better the next day. But it is a tug of war there. We have to go through that process sometimes to solidify something as a new behavior. Behavior change sounds easy.
It's hard.
That shit is not. It is not. There is a reason people, if I'm in a room of 50 people, and I've done this before many times, I'll be in a room of 50, 100, 200 people, and I'll say, raise your hand if you've had one habit that you view as negative and you've had it for over 5 years. You will get 95% of that room every single time. Bam.
Oh, yeah.
And that just speaks volumes to how difficult behavior change can be. It's insane.
It is. Someone actually told me something that's really, I think, vital for behavioral change. And it's attaching it to a habit that you already have. So,
Sure. I dig it.
It's like, okay, I brush my teeth. All right, so before I brush my teeth, I'm going to look in the mirror and say, like, my affirmations for the day.
Yeah.
Or, like, for me, I do stretching. I do a roll and a stretch every night. But it's taken me forever to have that habit. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, even I still struggle with it because I'm like, oh, like I completely agree with you. Even if you think it's like a positive reward, it's still something challenging to add on to already busy. I think also as a society, we have so many decisions to make, more than we've ever had. I mean, you go into a grocery store and it's like
Unreal.
25, 30 different kinds of cereal.
Yeah, what flavor Pop-Tart do I want today?
Yeah.
Stay off the cereal aisle. I realize there's oatmeal there, but you could probably reach it. It's usually in the end. You don't have to go in that aisle. God, cereal's terrible.
It is. It is.
Somebody is a genius who passed off cereal as not a dessert. That's a meal. Who pulled that shit off?
I don't know.
I didn't even know
Kellogg's.
that. Cinnamon Toast Crunch is awesome. All right, by the way, we know it tastes awesome. We figured that out. Okay, can we move? Let's move past it. These things don't make you feel good.
No.
We talk about nutrition. I know you well understand the connection. Mood, energy, performance. I mean, you're just not going to feel good. So before we go, I'll probably cut this part and glue it back earlier in the podcast. I want you to speak to the stubborn person who's not fully buying into mental wellness. And now we're speaking to the adult, right?
Yep.
Who's going to then set the stage and be the example. They're going to get their kid to your podcast. How do we move these people off their seat? How do we say, look at this person who spoke up about their problems and is working on them and how their life has evolved, how there's been a maturity to their happiness. How do we get them to look at those examples, to hear us, and just change something about tomorrow, about today? How do we do that? Because it's hard. We just mentioned behavior change is very difficult.
I would say if something in your life is not working now, I feel like that should be the motivator. I think that
Damn right. Yeah.
obviously something isn't working, and you have to be, I've heard this before and I believe in it, you have to be in enough pain in order to change. And so I think that you got to look at your life and realize that there's something that's not working, and you need to get enough courage to know that, being on the mental health or trying something new is very hard. But, you look at other people and they're struggling or something, and I think you need to step up and realize that it does take hard work to be happy. It does take hard work to, do a behavioral change, but in the end, it's so worth it. Like, I know so many people out there, and it's like, just take a chance. Take a chance on it. Like, open yourself up to doing better. I mean, how great would it be for your children or a family member or your spouse to be like, wow, what did they do? And I think that oftentimes people, they give up in the beginning. They're like, oh, this is so hard. I don't want to do it. It's not working. I would say give it a month. Maybe even give it 2 months in your mind. You might actually see the changes within a few weeks, but
Yeah.
I think creating that, 1 month, like, okay, I'm going to try for 1 month, really hard. And if I don't see a change, all right, then you can give up, or try another thing, but at least start with there.
And I think back to what you said earlier. Like, you don't have to flip your entire script. You don't have to flip your day-to-day operations upside down. Be simple. Simple is effective with this. It's the same thing with behavior change. Tiny habits create lasting change. Trying to flip everything, that's no behavior change specialist in the world is going to tell you to approach it that way. Mm-hmm. They're going to say to focus in on that thing. So when we're talking about being present, when we're talking about doing things that are going to have you feeling better, let it flow, let it go, it's really simple. And that's, that is where I would tell people to start. And it sounds like there's a strong echo there of just breathe.
Yes, just breathe, keep it simple.
Touch fingers, whatever works for you. Angela likes the number 3. She works it into her routine. I get it. When you said that resonated with me. I was like, the little things I do, there's some kind of rhythm to them that matches up with something I already like. So before we get out of here, I know you're so secretive. How the hell do people find the podcast?
It's going to be on January 1st.
Okay.
So it's starting your year out great. So it's 2022, the new you, right?
Nice.
And I just thought of that. That's
damn. Groundbreaking.
So, it's going to be on Spotify, Apple, and, if you have like Amazon, it can also you can just say, hey, Alexa, and it will probably stream from there too. So.
All right, gang. Positive vibes have been sent. You got your parenting toolkit on the way January 1st. A Calm Kid with Angela. Say your last name. Rosas. Beautiful. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Plenty more where that came from. Click the icon over here and subscribe to GSI Lifestyle's YouTube channel, or click this bad boy over here and check out the next video on deck.